I am Makoya, a traveler between worlds. Across ruined stars, forgotten cities, and impossible places, I collect the stories that should never have existed. This one began with a simple rule about ink. In the Wildstone Realm, magic is not spoken, it is written. Runes are instructions carved into symbols, but the rune itself is never the true power. The power comes from the ink. Every rune scriber learns the law early. Ink carries the authority of its origin. Ash ink grants resistance to heat. Pearl ink strengthens the body against the crushing pressure of deep water. Coral ink steadies ocean currents. Moon herb ink can calm panic and soften fear. The rune gives direction. The ink decides what the rune is allowed to command. For centuries, scholars experimented with plants, shells, bones, minerals, but one lioness scholar asked a far more dangerous question. Lady Liora Kwan of the Kwan Scriptoria. Her question was simple. If ink gains power from its origin, what would happen if someone wrote with the source of life itself? Ancient fragments scattered across Wildstone speak of a being older than the old gods, the Creator. Long before the continent settled, the Creator was wounded, and blood fell into the newborn ocean. Where it struck the sea floor, it carved a wound into the earth so deep that the water above it turned black. A crater. Over millions of years, tides buried it. Pressure sealed it. Darkness hid it beneath miles of ocean. But blood does not forget what it is. Liora believed the blood remained there, changed by the abyss, preserved by time. And if that blood could be turned into ink, the law of runes predicted the answer. Ash commands flame, pearl commands pressure, moon herb commands emotion. But the Creator's blood formed every living creature. Lion folk, wolf folk, fox folk. All life carried the echo of that blood. Ink made from it could influence them all. Most scholars dismissed the theory as madness. Liora did not. Her husband was Captain Wardclaw of the Imperial Navy, a lion with weathered fur and a laugh that filled entire taverns. He believed in her work, even when others mocked it. When Liora finally showed him her calculations and the location of the ancient crater, Wardclaw did not laugh. Instead, he studied the charts in silence. Then he said something that changed everything. "Then we should go find it." The Navy refused the expedition. The waters above the crater were forbidden. Ships that crossed that region sometimes vanished. Wardclaw went anyway. He sailed under darkness with a small crew and a stolen route across the Forbidden Sea. His final letter reached Liora 2 weeks later. Then nothing. Months passed. Rumors arrived. The Navy had tracked the ship, intercepted it, destroyed it for disobedience. Captain Wardclaw was declared lost at sea. Liora did not believe the sea had taken him, but the ocean does not return its dead. Months later, a storm struck the cliffs beneath Liora's manor. Wind screamed across the stone towers. The sea climbed the rocks higher than it ever had before. Lightning split the horizon, and in that flash, Liora saw a figure standing in the surf below the cliff. A lion silhouette, tall, familiar. Wardclaw. Her heart stopped. The figure moved slowly up the narrow path carved into the cliff. Rain poured down its shoulders. It never spoke. It reached the manor steps and placed something on the stone. A small sealed vial. Inside the glass was a liquid darker than blood. When lightning flashed again, the figure was gone. The storm ended before morning. Liora never discovered footprints on the path. Only the vial remained. Inside it waited the blood of the Creator. Turning the blood into ink took weeks. Ritual purification, stabilizing agents, binding sigils. When it was finished, the liquid inside her ink flask moved strangely, when light touched it, as if the darkness inside it had depth. The first ink. Liora tested it carefully. A calming rune written with moon herb ink normally softened anger. When written with the first ink, the effect was different. The servant who read the rune did not relax. She obeyed, perfectly, without hesitation, without question. More experiments followed. A persuasion rune became devotion. A courage rune became absolute loyalty. Liora realized what she had created. Ink that could reach directly into the mind. She began using it quietly. A suggestion written for a merchant. A reassurance for a magistrate. A symbol of loyalty hidden in a military charter. People began trusting her advice, listening to her guidance. Soon, the city of Valmar moved as if it shared one quiet thought. And that thought belonged to Liora. They called her the Ink Countess. She ruled the city without an army, without war, without resistance. But power creates a strange silence. No one argued with her. No one disagreed. Every council meeting ended in immediate agreement. Every smile came too quickly. Even laughter felt rehearsed. Their loyalty was perfect and completely hollow. At night, she walked alone through the long halls of her manor. She thought of Wardclaw. He would have argued with her, mocked her theories, refused her commands. He had believed in her, but he had never obeyed her. That stubborn defiance had been the thing she loved most. The Navy had taken him, and now the entire city obeyed her voice. But the one voice she wanted to hear again was gone. So she began preparing for war. If the Navy destroyed Wardclaw's ship, the Navy would fall. Soldiers joined her banner. Commanders pledged loyalty. Runes written with the first ink sealed their devotion. An army grew beneath the banner of the Ink Countess. But the army lacked a leader. Wardclaw had been a brilliant captain. No one else could replace him. There was one possibility left, one that every scholar in Wildstone considered impossible. Death was final. Resurrection had never existed. No rune scriber had ever returned the dead. But no one had ever possessed the Creator's blood before. Liora stood before Wardclaw's preserved body, inkbrush trembling slightly in her paw. And she remembered something he once told her, long ago. "If I die at sea," he had joked, "promise you won't try to write me back." She had laughed then. Runes could not bring back the dead. Now the brush touched the skin. The first ink sank into the runes carved along his body. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Wardclaw inhaled. His eyes opened. He spoke her name and rose. He followed every command perfectly, without hesitation, without doubt, without argument. The stubborn sailor she loved was gone. In his place stood the perfect general, commander of her army. Far beneath the ocean, in the ancient crater where the Creator's blood once fell, something moved, because the crater had never been a resting place. It had been a seal, and somewhere in the quiet halls of Valmar, the Ink Countess continued writing. I have watched countless worlds destroy themselves with ambition, but rarely have I seen someone hand the pen to something older and ask it to finish the story.